Hey everybody, Paul Fontaine alongside Jeff Hawkins here on the Dynamite Show on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel, also on the Fight Game Media free audio feed. And just apologies in advance if the audio quality is not quite what it usually is. Jeff's having some technical difficulties, so he may sound slightly different, but still as sublime as all as he ever is. Sardonic. Is that a good word?
Snarky.
Okay. All right. Hey, you know what? We got a much better show this week, so that was good. Although that would have been almost impossible for it not to be after last week.
This is a baffling show for me, Paul. I don't know about you, but I'll posit my case before we go into the beat by beat.
Well, there was good and there was some not so good, but overall, again, like last week was the worst rated show in the history of cage match, whatever that means.
Right.
We both thought it was pretty bad, and this week, I will say the one thing I was most happy with was the fact that they did not lean into the, we're the best and WWE sucks and all that. Because like I just don't want to hear that when I'm watching the wrestling show. And they did better in the ratings last week, so I thought they might, but I was glad they didn't. They may get killed tonight because of the NBA, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't at least. Well, I don't know. Again, we'll talk this through and see what we thought of the show. But
here's the positive. I'll give the positive first.
Sure.
They did the show that they want to do.
Yeah. So whether or not that show is a good show is another issue, right?
But overall, here's what baffled me a little bit, and it'll play probably into the rest of the show a little bit. But we both have a friend by the name of Brian Alvarez, correct?
Yes.
You know how Brian Alvarez watches his television shows now, right?
I'm not exactly sure what you mean.
YouTube TV.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
And in order to do so, he needs to set an overrun.
Okay. Yeah.
Was the overrun announced tonight?
I don't know if it was okay. So I'm glad you brought this up because there's something I want to bring up before we go into the show, and we normally talk this all out beforehand, but we're dealing with technical stuff. I think the first time they announced that there was going to be an overrun was during the main event.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're watching normally or you have your DVR set and you have to watch this later, you are going to come out of this show very confused. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Who was this show about?
Swerve and Joe.
No, it was not.
Well, you asked me the question.
All right. Okay. Even better question. Well, no. You're saying that with knowledge of the overrun. I apologize.
I'm saying that with the overriding theme of Swerve and Joe doing interviews and then them telling us in the main event that they were going to be back for the main event segment.
Okay. I actually missed that on the main event.
Oh, yeah, no. Tony told us, stick around. We're going to take this match as long as we need to. And then after the match, we're going to hear from Swerve and Samoa Joe.
Okay, let me phrase the question better then, sir. I apologize.
No problem.
If you cut this show off at 7:00.
Okay. Well, yeah.
How was this show sandwiched?
It was sandwiched.
Who was in the opening segment and in the closing segment?
Moxley. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why people watching on DVR are going to be very confused about that.
And Moxley is So here's an issue I have. What is the overriding theme of the Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay match? What is the build for this? What has got everyone so excited?
It's a dream match for fans.
Right. And the idea is that it's the best in the world against the best of the last 20 years, right?
Sure.
And the winner is going to be the best in the world. That's the idea, right?
Yes.
The winner is going to be the best in the world. Except we've also got Samoa Joe and Swerve wrestling on the same show for the AEW World Championship. Right? I guess neither one of them are the best in the world. Right? We've also got Jon Moxley opening the show as the IWGP World Champion, telling everyone he's the best in the world.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. You're also getting to the point I was eventually going to get to. We have now introduced a new world title onto this show.
Okada's pretty good too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Another new title. Yeah.
Ooh, I get that the fans are all wired up and stuff like that, but in terms of AEW world that we're in, who cares about the IWGP title?
Well, Jon Moxley does quite a bit.
Well, he does, but that's nice. It has nothing to do with the show on Sunday.
So what I wanted to say was last week, I mentioned it too on the show. I got a little frustrated in our Discord and I stayed away from it for a few days. I'm back in there now, except for I'm staying out of the AEW chatter section of it. And number one is because sometimes I get frustrated talking to people. But number two, I kind of wanted to see what it's like for a normal person that just watches the TV shows.
Right.
And so I watched Dynamite last week. And when Dynamite was over, we had a Rampage that we had a full lineup for that was the rampagiest of rampages in history. We had a Collision and a Battle of the Belts 3-hour block that we had nothing announced for, other than they told us that the Battle of the Belts was happening with about 2 minutes left in the show on Wednesday. They didn't tell us any matches. Immediately after, they announced a couple matches on Twitter, but I didn't see it. Someone told me about it, but I didn't actually see it. So by the time I got to Rampage, I watched Rampage. They announced a couple matches on Rampage for Collision that actually had me interested in the show. But you know when I watched Rampage? Tuesday, like yesterday. I didn't get to Collision till today. If I knew that Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli were wrestling, I can't even remember who they wrestled now. Hobbs and Fletcher in the main event of that show, I might have made time to see that show in a timely manner because that interested me. I also found out Toni Storm was wrestling Azumi. I've only seen Azumi a couple times. She's real good. I would be interested in that. There's only a very few amount of people that would actually be interested in that match, and you should have probably maybe told them that the match was going to be happening so that maybe people would clear some time in their schedule. You know, no WrestleMania this week. There was a UFC, a pretty big UFC, but you might have made time for it. So as of like this week, when I sat down to do the preview for this show, I had no idea what was on this show. Not a clue.
Okay.
Other than the mixed tag match that they announced last week, and we'll get to that. That's all I knew. So when it all made sense. Okay, this match. And then when I watched the Rampage and Collision, they announced a couple of those matches. But I did the thing yesterday before I had watched Rampage. I had to do the preview. So I had to Google it to find out what's on it. I didn't know any of the matches. And so that's what normal people deal with. Like, you're tuning into Dynamite on faith. If Dynamite's the only show you watch, you're tuning in hoping it's going to be a good show, but not having the slightest idea what's going to be on it.
Right, because Tony assumes that all fans of AEW watch all the product.
Uh-huh. Did you see this comment?
Sorry, yes, I did. I did. I'm a professional. I'm continuing to do the show while you're gawking at the chat.
I just saw it now. Ruby Soho announced she is pregnant after Dynamite. Unless SRS is joking, her relationship with Angela is a shoot. Okay, SRS better than I am. It's quite possible he's joking.
It's possible.
Yeah,
but I don't think he'd joke about that.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
Matt has a challenge for us to spend more time talking about the positives and the negatives. It's hard to say. I was pretty positive about the show, so we'll find out. But there was aspects of it that I thought were really great, and there was a few that I was puzzled. But Rick brings up a good point. You brought up the overruns. The footage is usually uploaded to AEW's channel if people want to take the time. I think the pregnancy is legit. I'm just wondering about this SRS Angelo relationship, because if they're actually in a relationship, they have the absolute worst chemistry of people in a real couple that I've seen. That said, that's pretty common in wrestling. That when you put real couples on camera, often they don't have on-camera chemistry.
That's correct.
Yeah. Anyways,
it happens in show business too.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. But yeah, back to what we were talking about. So yeah, so I came into this kind of blind. I mean, I did the preview and then I kind of forgot about it again. And but I mean, the matches and everything, they made sense. You could kind of see where everything was going.
Yeah, I was just making the point that you got 2 hours of television and you don't need the overrun here. And if your DVR cut off at 7:00, you'd think this was a Jon Moxley show for the go home show for Dynasty.
And would you go to YouTube and watch the overrun? I guess people listening and watching.
I almost turned off the TV at 7, just assuming that's what was going on, so I could go to the bathroom before the show and try to fix my microphone. Which
I always have it set for 15 minutes extra. So
okay.
I'm okay now. I know for a while I wasn't, but yeah, I've got that all sorted out now. So we started the show. And for those that don't know, I'm sure everyone watching and listening to this knows, Jon Moxley won the IWGP World Championship on Friday at the New Japan Riot show in Chicago. Oh, did you see that show?
I saw parts of it.
Did you see the Jungle Boy match?
Yes.
Okay. The atmosphere in that match was incredible. And I've been arguing with people, and I'm not sure if they're actually serious. So I'm curious, did I hear things that weren't being chanted? Like, I could have sworn I heard people chanting CM Punk at him and chanting, "You got choked out." And I was told that people were behind Jack Perry and he's a massive babyface.
Both can be true.
Okay. I didn't hear the latter.
Okay.
To me, it was great for him. People care about him, and hating is good. If they hate a guy, that's great. But it seems like they're building up a match between CM Punk and Jack Perry that they're never going to be able to deliver. Jack Perry was teasing doing a go to sleep, and Chris Charlton kept saying,
he's pulling the Kenta thing.
Yeah, Kenta's going to be mad, and he's carrying around a Chicago flag, and like Punk did, and you just really like Chicago, and I kind of like the cheeky way they're playing it, but clearly everyone wants to see Perry and Punk, and we're never going to see it.
Oh no, we're going to see it in WWE.
Maybe in WWE, yeah.
That's the problem. You're building a match that nobody's going to be able to see.
You know what? Jonathan brings up a good point. They've been pushing up where the best wrestle. If they want the company to be with the best matches, having a bunch of people going for top spots seems like it's sticking to that theme for me. Okay. I'm sick and tired of that catchphrase, but if that's the idea, I guess it's okay. But again, I do think there's a bit of a disconnect when, you've got people talking about being the best in the world, which is kind of like a catchphrase, and CM Punk's been doing it, and Jericho and Danielson, and lots of guys have called themselves that. But when you're on the same show, it's one thing when we say the best in the world, or even the wrestlers themselves, but when the announcers are saying it's the best in the world, that's where I have the disconnect a little bit. It's like, the Lakers and the Celtics are like the best teams, but we're going to see the Mavericks and the Bucks in the finals. Well, who's the best, right? Whoever wins the championship, that's who's the best.
A lot of it has to do with what you think the best wrestling is.
True.
So it's a subjective thing, like who's the best musician in the world.
Right. Yeah. But that's, and again, so I think the comparison would be more to let's say tennis, or even UFC. Who's the best fighter? Is it the guy that has the championship, or is it the guy that has the exciting fights? You can make that case, because we saw the BMF title on Saturday.
Yeah.
And Justin Gaethje won, or no, he lost it to Max Holloway.
Which was a fantastic finish. But yeah.
Right. So he's the BMF. He's the most exciting fighter in the world, but there's actually a champion in his weight class who's better than him. So maybe that's what we're talking about. So that's fine.
I was going to say something. I forgot what I was going to. Oh, I liked Ishii and Nick Nemeth. I thought that was.
I love that match. I saw people. In fact, someone in this chat here, I won't call him out if he wants to say who he is. That's fine. He thought it was the worst match on the show. And I'm like, okay, I really liked it a lot. I thought it was maybe the second best match on the show. My favorite match on the show was Zack Sabre Jr. and Matt Riddle. But there were 5 great matches on the show. And I'm not even including the Jack Perry match, because I thought the spectacle was great. The atmosphere was great. The match itself was fine. It was good, maybe even. But I wouldn't say it was one of the best matches on the show. But the atmosphere made it a match. If I was going to tell people to watch anything, I would tell them to watch that. You can see great matches all the time, but you're not going to see a crowd atmosphere like that all the time. So,
Yeah, I think a little bit of my problem is I think pushing New Japan titles on your AEW television does nothing for AEW.
Fair enough.
At times, I mean, look, I get
Yeah.
it, and it's a nice thing if you had like 3 belts and then you bring in the IWGP title. It's like, oh yeah, he went to Japan, or he's gonna go to Japan and defend this. Then there's a little bit of intrigue to it, but you already have like 3 other New Japan titles in this environment, so it's one of those things.
Yeah,
where I'm just like,
you got the strong title. You've got okay, I'm not sure which other ones. I'm sure you're right though. And yeah, and I mean, yeah, we see these Japan titles. We see that
you'll get the open weight there occasionally. It's like having Ring
Yeah.
of Honor titles in there to me. It's all just alphabet soup.
Well, and when you talk about doing it, maybe in a way, almost even harmed AEW on Friday, like this weekend, because when you talked about, it's funny because I was talking to Garrett, and he said we were talking about something, and he said, oh, he wasn't excited for Wednesday, but he's super excited for Friday, and this was last week before Dynamite, and I said, oh, you're excited for Rampage? Like, I was joking, right? And he's like, no, New Japan. And I thought he was talking about SmackDown. Like, I didn't even realize, like, I realized it wasn't Rampage he was excited for, but I thought maybe, oh, he's excited about SmackDown. And he brings up New Japan. And when all the AEW fans I talked to, nobody watched Rampage, and they all watched New Japan Riot. So if you're talking about AEW, yeah, they did a lot for New Japan. I don't know that they did a lot for AEW because people were actively avoiding Rampage to watch New Japan Riot. And then Collision was the next day, and that was a good show, and Battle of the Belts, and good wrestling on the show. But I'm not sure how many people actually watched. Well, I do know how many people watched it, but I don't know how many like hardcores like us watched it. I think a lot of people maybe watched it on delay. They heard about good matches and they watched those, but so yeah, and I mean, I didn't watch it till today. So, but we started out the show with the brand new New Japan IWGP champion Jon Moxley in the ring. Fans are chanting Moxley. I noted that it didn't sound like it was a very big crowd. The last I checked, I think it was about 2,400.
3,000. They got over 3,000 in there.
They got over 3. Okay, that's good. They were loud at times, other times not so much, and they kind of popped for a lot of like the big spots and everything, like a lot of crowds do. He said one of the first championships he ever won was in this town at the Salvation Army Community Center or something like that. He said, back then I was swimming upstream. I had no help. People trying to tell me what I could do. My message was kiss my ass and watch me do it. So I've been climbing mountain after mountain after mountain. Being great is what's in here, points at his heart. This is the IWGP championship. Fans chant, you deserve it. This championship is steeped in history. Somebody should probably tell him that championship was created like 2 years ago. But I think he's referring to the overriding one that other people used to hold.
Yes.
He says 5 years of wins, losses, pints of sweat and blood, thousands of miles back and forth across the ocean. People said me holding this championship was impossible, especially live on Dynamite. I have no idea where that's coming from because I've seen the IWGP champion on Dynamite a lot. Not if they knew what was in here. When your back is against the wall, how deep can you dig? When you're choking on your blood, how much are you willing to prove the doubters wrong? That's what AEW is all about. So right at the end, it dawned on me, oh, this is just like another one of these rah-rah AEW speeches. But it was a lot better than the ones we've been getting. Like, Moxley's the guy to deliver these ones because he has a believability about him that even when he's feeding you a crock of shit, you believe it because he believes it. And whereas some of the other ones, they just come off like they're just, go team. And but in short, what he was saying was WWE is bad because they wouldn't let me do indies in New Japan, and these guys do, so I love it here. That was the summary of the first 5 minutes of this promo, right? Pretty much. Yeah. But then he goes on, and it got better, I thought. He said, which brings me to my point. This Don Callis family. They got some very talented individuals, but they're in here in this league with the creepy Don Callis. I got no time for him. He's feeding them lies, and he's bullying them. They put a hit out and tried to injure my friend and teammate, Bryan Danielson. They put a target on his back. Well, you might as well put a target on mine. You want to be tough, guys? I'll be here all night. But I suspect I'm not your type. What I could do is run up on you with a tire iron or run you over with a car, but I sense you wouldn't learn anything, so I'm going to pick the baddest, meanest one of you, Powerhouse Will Hobbs. I'm going to challenge Will Hobbs to a match 1 week from tonight in the main event in Jacksonville, And Will accept. And in that match, will find out just how out of depth he is when he steps in the ring with the IWGP champion. I'm going to drag Will Hobbs through the deepest water. And when he asks the referee to save him from drowning, he'll know that Don Callis has been feeding him lies. Nobody can touch me. There's a lot of great wrestlers in the world, but there's only one Jon Moxley. And I thought this was great. And then a couple things dawned on me here. Okay, he's not on the pay-per-view. I assumed he would be, but I guess he's not. But he is building a match for next week, so that's cool. And it also occurred to me, you know what we're getting in the unofficial main event of Double or Nothing that you and I are both going to? Anarchy in the Arena with Don Callis family and the Blackpool Combat Club. And I'm here for that. So start the build, boys. 5 weeks away.
Probably. Or yeah. It'll be Blackpool Combat Club and maybe Ospreay versus Callis's family and whoever he adds.
No. I think Ospreay's with Callis's family and then they break up after that. We may get someone else joining the BCC. I could see maybe Swerve.
Maybe. Daniel Garcia. Yuta comes back. I don't know.
Well, Yuta. But or Eddie, Mark Briscoe,
Yeah.
Somebody. But it should be good. But it could be 4-on-4 too. I mean, there's no reason it has to be 5-on-5.
True.
They don't have hard and fast rules, but that's gonna be fun. But Matt says, he agrees they have laughable amount of titles, but the IWGP title, you got to put it over big. That means a lot to AEW fans. And it's true. It really does.
Oh, it's going to be Adam Copeland probably joining the BCC.
Oh, maybe Christian on the other side.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Christian and Callis would be great together. Okay, what do you think about this promo or anything else to add?
I liked the promo. I just thought it was misplaced. In terms of I like the hard sell, so I thought that should have been either Joe or Swerve opening the show.
Okay, fair enough.
In terms of a television format, I think look, you're gonna sell the Bryan Danielson half of the Dream match on Saturday. That's fine. That's how they've chosen to do this. But most of the focus of this show should be on that Joe Swerve match in terms of the hot start. This is what you're tuning in for. This is what you should be buying the pay-per-view for on Sunday.
Okay, that's an interesting question because for me, I think the match that's selling the show is Danielson Ospreay.
It might be, but they're plugging it as the main event.
Are they? So they're plugging Joe
the
Swerve
title match? Yes, they're saying.
Oh,
they said, and in the main event at the end.
Okay, I missed that.
So I am looking at this from the television perspective.
I'm surprised. Honestly, advertisement. I'm surprised by that. That almost makes me
think, it has stakes compared to who the best wrestler in the world is.
I was leaning towards Swerve losing, but if that's the main event, then I think he has to win. But we'll talk about that later, I guess.
Yeah, we'll go through those matches.
Yeah, I got them all written down. So I and again, like I think if you're, I think you want to start. Like, I don't have a problem with starting the show with Daniel with Moxley because him winning the world title is the IWGP world title is a big deal.
I would have started hour 2 with Moxley.
Okay, fair enough. And actually,
I think that would have been good.
And if you promote for a whole hour that Moxley's going to be at the start of hour 2, you might actually retain some viewers for that.
Yeah, your new IWGP champion coming up at the top of the hour.
Ospreay Moxley at Forbidden Door. That makes a lot of sense. I could see that, especially if Ospreay wins and then gets a title shot off of that. I could see that. I think he has to defend the title 3 times before that, though. So Moxley might not even be the champion by Forbidden Door. Next we got a Mercedes Moné interview. This was
more of a promo than an interview.
It was actually a promo. It wasn't an interview. I don't know why I wrote interview, but it was definitely a promo.
It's quite right. I'm just being persnickety.
No. It was before their back screen, which I'm kind of growing to hate. That one that they do, and it just looks kind of low rent. But anyways, she said she can't wait to pay back the bitch that attacked her. She says, lights out. That really sounds like Julia. So I think it's you, but maybe it's someone that wants me to think it's you. Someone who doesn't want to face me at Double or Nothing when I'm healthy. So that to me was her telling us that she's not medically cleared. Julia and Willow, I look forward to watching your match tonight, but just keep in mind there's a price to pay when you mess with Mercedes Moné.
I like that catchphrase.
Yeah. Although she didn't say it like that, but she should have said it like that.
She should have said it like that. I agree with you. You reading it makes me hyped. Reading makes me go, okay.
Because she said, what she said was, there's a price to pay when you mess with Mercedes money.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Moné, it rhymes.
It's there. It was right there, and you missed it. What are you doing? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Retape it. Some producer should have said, no, we're going to redo that.
Say Moné. And she's like, no, my name is Money. No, it's Moné.
Shout it.
She held up her hands and it says Money Talks. One side Money, that talks. So that's cool. So she's, you know what? I kind of like that they got a direction for her now. And I think it's pretty clear that it's her and Willow. And I think she thinks that it's Willow that attacked her. I think it was probably Statlander. Although it could also be a setup and she wasn't even really attacked. Like, there's that possibility too.
Might have been Stoke.
Well, wasn't there was an interview where Statlander and Stokely were being
no. They were interviewing. Yeah, they were interviewing. Yeah.
I don't know where that aired because I didn't see it and I watch everything. Like I saw the clip you sent me, but I don't know what. Maybe it was just social media.
So let's set it up for those who might not have seen it. Yeah. Stokely and Statlander are doing an interview, but it's right outside of Mercedes Moné's dressing room.
Okay. Oh, and by the way,
and it's never brought attention to. It's just
it's subtle. By the way, who is conducting that interview?
The new spokesgirl that they hired a backstage interview about a month and a half ago.
Oh, okay. And they fired Dasha.
Yes.
And the new backstage person was also doing ring announcing on Ring of Honor.
Imagine that.
Yeah. And then they had. Did you watch Collision?
No.
Okay. In the main event of Collision. Oh no, sorry, it was Battle of the Belts. The main event of Battle of the Belts was Athena defending the ROH title. So her first time on AEW TV in like a year and a half. They didn't advertise it. They advertised on Rampage.
And she fought Red Velvet. I knew that.
Fought Red Velvet. The ring announcer was Lexi Nair. The only match she ring announced for. And she's gushing over Athena during the ring announcing. She calls her my overlord. I have like in kayfabe, I have no idea why she was ring announcing.
Correct. You know, but if you watch Ring of Honor, you'd know.
And there's what 10,000. And I do watch Ring of Honor, so I do know. But I gotta imagine there's probably 15,000 people that have that. Maybe half of them watch the show. So what about the other 450,000 people that watch Collision?
You're correct.
And they did 3 interview segments in a 10-minute span. Lexi's wearing one outfit for one. Then she changes into a Minion in training jacket with different shirt underneath to interview Billy Starks and Athena. Then she changes again back to her original outfit to interview somebody else. And this all happened within 10 minutes of each other.
Okay, I have a name. It's Arcady Ara.
Yes, that sounds right. I couldn't pick it up on the thing, but that's right. I thought you said it was Alicia Tout.
No. I made a joke about it.
Oh, okay. And
actually, Alicia Tout was. I saw the roster of the original AEW. Alicia Tout was on it, which made me just howl.
Well, because I made an kind of off-color joke, and then your comment played into what I said. So, okay, I get it now.
Okay, I should know her. She's affiliated with SoCal Pro Wrestling and the Crash.
Oh, really? She was fine. I mean, there's potential there, but I saw people, but she's white, and they let go a woman of color. And, and they got either Bobby Cruz or this woman doing ring announcing that Dasha had previously been doing. So take that for what it's worth. Anyways, where were we here? Oh, yeah. So the Mercedes segment. So that's over. We got Adam Copeland's entrance, and then Willow's music played, but they took us to the back, and she's laid out. And Statlander and Stokely are conveniently right there. Nobody knows who did it. I'm thinking somebody should ask Tony, because I'm sure he had cameras somewhere, and we saw that he's perfectly willing to play footage last week.
That's what we should get. I play footage of who attacked Willow.
So then the lights go out, and when they came back in, Brody King was behind Adam Copeland. He attacked him. Julie's on the ramp laughing. And then we get the starts of this match. But before we start the match, Brody King's just beating the crap out of Adam Copeland outside the ring. Excalibur reminds us that the match hasn't started yet. He's completely laid out. Brody did a running dive onto him, smacks him into a barricade. He's out cold on the floor. And Aubrey's screaming at him. And I don't know if you picked this up. She says, Adam, come on, what the hell?
She turned into Roddy Strong all of a sudden.
But she's like, what the hell? I'm like, dude just got knocked out. I guess maybe she missed it. But eventually they got in the ring and they started this match. And I was so frustrated watching this match. And do you want to know why?
Because this is audio, so yes.
Okay, well, it was a mixed tag, right?
Mm-hmm.
The rules of a mixed tag are men against men, women against women. So Julie is on the apron and she's holding out her hand for a tag, and at times she's calling for the tag or whatever. Adam's got nobody in his corner because Willow's laid out in the back. They're doing spots where Adam keeps looking to the corner, but there's no one there, and Brody's beating on him. And then Adam would make a comeback, and Brody could theoretically tag Julia. But what happens if Brody tags Julia? Because now, like, who's she going to wrestle? Is she going to win by countout? Like, I don't know. They actually brought up Adam. If he was able to tag out right now, then Brody would have to leave and Julia would be the legal person. They actually said that in the commentary. So the whole idea was Adam's got nobody to tag out to, but they're ignoring the elephant in the room that Julia's right there. And what happens if she tags in?
Invisible strand.
Actively calling for a tag over and over again. And Brody won't tag her, even though he's in trouble. And he can tag her. He won't tag her. Maybe Brody didn't understand the rules. I don't know. So I was just so frustrated because I thought, well, maybe they'd win by countout. You know,
it's also why I'm not the biggest fan of mixed tag team.
Oh, it's exactly why I don't like mixed tag matches. So eventually, Willow makes her way out there, and she's got people trying to hold her back. You're not ready. Blah, blah, blah. She gets up on the apron, and magically, right at that time, that's when Adam Copeland makes the comeback, and he tags her in, and then so where are we here? Oh yeah, so then Julia doesn't want to come in, and Excalibur says, he's laughing. He says she's technically legal. Copeland speared Brody. Willow hit Brody with a cannonball, and then while the ref was dealing with that, trying to get Brody out of the ring, Julia grabbed a chain, clocked Willow over the head. She takes a great bump, just lands dead on the mat. Julia puts on the Heartless, and the ref calls for the match. He says she's out. So I mean, the match was baffling, but I mean, this is the right finish because, you know, Julia's defending the title against Willow. And then immediately after, they start beating on Copeland, and then CEO plays. Out comes Mercedes with a chair. Julia bailed. Willow got up. She's looking at Mercedes. Mercedes looking at her. And then Edge comes in, stares at her, shakes her hand. She puts the chair down. Crowd's chanting CEO at the end of all this, even though Willow just got a big win. And yeah, that was that. So I didn't quite know what to make of this. It was a good setup for Willow and Julia, I guess, but I'm not exactly sure what the point of a mixed tag was here. But
I was to have Statlander beat on Willow.
I guess
I like Julia's new gear. I think it's a little bit more professional. For lack
I wonder
of a better
if she's
term.
not 100% cleared. Maybe I haven't seen a lot of her wrestling lately. And
no, I thought she got banged up in the last pay-per-view, I think, didn't she?
Okay. Yeah. Someone's gonna correct me and tell me that.
Anyways, the move of this match, and God bless 50-year-old Adam Copeland for taking it, is that cross body on the outside when he was.
Oh yeah, the one where and then where Aubrey, what the hell, Adam?
Well, but I'm trying to figure out how the weight displacement goes. So he's not hitting him full force like that, because I can't imagine that's a good bump to take at full force. So I was trying to figure out how he does that.
Never mind. She wrestled last week on Rampage, which I watched yesterday. So I'm an idiot. Oh yeah.
I love that you listen to me while I'm talking. Anyways,
I was listening to you.
You're reading the chat. You're looking things up. I get
it. Brody thought it was House of Black Girls. I like that. Oh yeah, Serena Deeb cut a promo on Collision. Sorry, sidebar, where she just went on and on about how She hasn't been able to get a title match yet, but that's okay because she's working her way up the rankings. She's number 3 right now. The day before, Layla Hirsch got a title match. And on this show, right after her promo, Red Velvet got a title match.
I was told I needed to be positive, so I'm being positive.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm being positive too.
I am looking forward to Serena Deeb versus Yuka Sakazaki.
I am too. I wonder when it's going to happen. Probably on Collision, I would think. They haven't announced it yet, but
I'm guessing the pre-show. I'm guessing 0 hour for the pay-per-view.
Cool. That'd be cool. I'm looking forward to that match as well. All right. Renee Paquette with Samoa Joe. This was good. They're having a sit-down interview in a warehouse somewhere. He's got no suit. He's in his own t-shirt. She asked, how do you view Swerve as an opponent? He said, well, at first I thought he was a worthy opponent, but he's just a nuisance. No matter how many times I put him down, he keeps getting up. He's not a champion. He's a punching bag. Last week on Dynamite, she says, we usually see you calm, cool, and collected, but we saw them holding your championship. And he says, my property was in the wrongful hands. Maybe it needs to be disinfected. I think when he said that, it dawned on him that there might be something wrong with what he just said.
Yes.
Yeah. And then he said,
quickly went, we don't know where Nana's been.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he was like, did I just say what I think I just said? You kind of had that
the point where you cut and you go, let's restart this interview, please. And then you do another take and you go another way somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that could be taken the wrong way. And to be clear, I don't think Joe meant it that way. Every championship he's challenged for, he's come up short. Seems like he's a choke artist. He comes so close and then he swerves off target. History will repeat itself at Dynasty. I will destroy my opposition and cement my legacy as the greatest AEW world champion of all time. You're a choke artist, and at Dynasty, I'll be choking you out instead. I love the last line.
No, I love Joe. If he's not wrestling on a show, he should be in a suit. Always. That's my only rule for him. But other than that, instead of wearing his own gear.
Yeah, he's got merch to sell.
Yeah, brother's got merch. That's such a Hawkins line. Calling him brother. Because I do that. Brothers. Yeah, okay. You got me on that. But no, I think Suit Joe doing that same promo would have just been a little bit better, but that's an aesthetic choice. I get it.
Yeah, and the content itself was great.
But they obviously should have done a retake on the disinfectant line. To me, I think I don't even have that for him to get the save, but it felt very Ed Wood to keep going with that.
Yeah, but it was good. So then we got a video package, kind of. It was a Bucks FTR video package. For some reason, this is now a ladder match. They announced it on Collision. I'm not exactly sure why, but
I don't know either.
Yeah, but whatever, it's fine. I mean, do we ever have reasons for ladder matches? I mean, occasionally we do, but I mean, the idea of what we used to have whenever there was a ladder match, there was a reason for it. I mean, that went away 20 years ago, so that doesn't bother me really. Just more the fact that they just kind of randomly announced it in the middle of a match that didn't involve either of the two guys.
It bothers my robot brain, Paul.
There you go. There you go.
Does not compute. But does not compute.
But they're doing this. They're doing this promo, and it's like it's for the match. It didn't seem like it was slanted towards either team, but we can hear the Bucks, and they're like, "Stop this! And then like you hear Tony, just cut it, and then the camera cuts out, and it's the Bucks, and we don't know where they are, but it turns out they're in Gorilla, and he says, "Sorry, FTR, sorry guys, this episode is super stacked, so we had to cut your segment." And Tony's there, and he's just nodding. And he says, we'll put it up on social media later, but we're going to be the first 3-time tag team champions. And Okada's with them. And he says, Pac, you're not going to make it to Dynasty. And Tony's just sitting there and he's all smiling and like, he's just doing his job. And I was baffled because I'm trying to figure out, like, is the idea that we're supposed to think is that like the Bucks have him in their back pocket? Or was it just Tony like not wanting to be an actor and just wanting to pretend the camera wasn't even on? I'm not exactly.
It's the latter. It's obvious. It's like, Tony, you need to sell that. You need to be annoyed by the fact that they're in there cutting your segment and taking over your show. Oh, I'm doing the Gorilla.
It was weird, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because you didn't need Tony Khan there. Like, you could have done exactly what you did.
He wanted to be on TV, though. See, it's a twofold problem. He can't act, and he wants to be on TV.
Okay. Because I don't know if he was acting what he was supposed to be. The actual idea.
No, he was just doing his job there because he's talking in the microphone to get cuts and stuff like that, and ready camera one, all that other stuff.
The Bucks are like, I really like them in this role. I really do. I know sometimes it probably doesn't sound like I do. But
I thought this was fine, other than Tony Khan. Honestly,
yeah. And that led right into the match because they actually even said, "Oh, run our music and get that elevator thing going." And Tony's like, "Yep, you got it, buddies." And so they do their entrance, and
it's just confirmation that Tony's a heel on his own show.
I think so. And so the match is the Elite against Pac, Daniel Garcia, and Penta. So it's 2 of the 3 members of what's that group called? The
Death Triangle.
Death Triangle.
Death Triangle. Yes.
I like Torture Triangle better. And I guess so. Garcia is subbing for Phoenix, and Garcia would be in there because he's friends with FTR. So it kind of makes sense. And Excalibur referred to the series of trio matches that they had last year or the end of 22, beginning of 23 as the Super Classico. Have you ever heard that? I've never heard them call it that, but that's what he called it. I rewound it to make sure I heard it right. The match was really fun. At one point, Matt got a house mic and he was doing commentary during the match. He's like, so he gets in there with Garcia and he says, "You think you're
okay? Hold on.
Yeah,
because for most of this in America, this was the picture-in-picture thing.
Oh, really?
And it came back. Yes, that's why I want you to explain what he was doing to me, or nobody.
Well, no, because I fast forwarded through the picture-in-picture too, and I saw it.
Well, no, it came back and he was on the microphone.
Oh, so maybe we came back at a different time than you did.
That's possible, but he was doing it for us. He did it for about a minute or so while the commercials were running. And I was interested in what he said, if he said anything. I
might have missed what he said before he was in the ring then.
Okay.
Well, he was calling for a tag. I did hear that.
Okay, so you came back later than I did because he was on the ground. Okay, never mind.
No, I saw the stuff on the ground too. So I probably saw the same stuff you did. I just didn't write it all down.
Yeah, I think they were plugging the action figures and stuff, which were on the table there, and Tony kind of gave him a thumbs up for the plug. I was watching it trying to figure things out.
When they came back at one point, all of a sudden I could just hear Matt talking, and I couldn't figure out where he was. Like, what's going on? Like,
he was on the floor in front of the announcer's table.
Okay. So anyways, he gets in the ring and he's with Garcia and he says, you got anything, Garcia? Show me something. Why did we even hire you? And then Garcia picks him up and he's about to suplex him. He's like, put me down. We're good. And then he drops him and he loses the mic. I thought that was funny. Then Pac came in and he starts running wild. He's really over. Crowd was super into this match. First time really that they were like hot for, everything. Well, it was, they were hot at times for Edge earlier. Okada looked really good in here. He hit his great drop kick on Garcia. And then Garcia hit a jackknife. He got a 2 count. Okada tossed him in the corner. The Bucks did a double kick. Then they tossed him back to Okada. He did a pile driver. And then he did one on Penta. Double super kick by the Bucks led into a Rainmaker. So that's a cool kind of combination finish. And Okada got the win over Garcia, which is, probably what you would have. I thought maybe Penta would have got pinned, but it was pretty good.
Doesn't work for me, brother.
Oh yeah.
I liked the match.
It was a PWG match.
It was,
and that's not that's not a complaint. It's not a complaint.
No, yeah. Are we ever going to do anything with Daniel Garcia?
Oh, I'm sure that
because we need to.
We are doing stuff with Daniel Garcia.
Are we? We put him on TV.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And we beat him every week.
He got a win on Saturday.
Oh.
He's actually, if you look at his record, and there's no dark or elevation anymore. He actually wins quite a bit. It's just in the big matches he always loses. But
okay,
yeah.
He's
also 24. Like there's time. Although he was 20 when.
See, everybody makes that excuse. There's time, and you turn around like private parties now, like in their 30s or something, and you're like, okay.
And then on Tuesdays we got this 19-year-old dude that's just lighting the world on fire.
Yeah,
right now. Yeah.
Well, I have thoughts on that, but
where the hell is Nick Wayne?
Yeah, Well, don't worry, we have time.
Yeah, I know.
7 years later, we'll have him still as a flunky for Luchasaurus.
And he'll still only be 25. There's but I really like this match.
Are we doing the Kevin Nash plan where you don't really start making money until you're in your 40s?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Well, Tony's got budgets. You have to cut people.
You have to cut Dasha.
Yeah. They so then the Bucks mockingly shake Garcia's hand afterwards. They give him the EVP trigger. Crowd's chanting for FTR. They didn't get them. I'm surprised they weren't there, to be honest with you. So they bring a ladder into the ring and they slam Garcia into it, put him in the middle, and they're about to come off the top rope, but Pac made the save with a bell hammer. So that was that. I honestly, I was really surprised FTR didn't make the save here. Maybe they weren't there. I don't know. But
not that it matters, but Pac came out of the heel tunnel.
Really?
Yes.
I'm not sure
because he's a bastard.
I'm not sure it matters at all, because in the House of Black match on Saturday, one guy came out of one tunnel, one guy came out of the other tunnel, and the other guy came out of the middle.
Yeah, it probably doesn't matter anymore.
Probably 80% of the time, the baby faces come out of the right and the heels come out of the left, but it's not a tried and fast.
I get it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I try to pay attention to it, but I finally figured it out. Someone told me right is the baby face, and because the baby faces are right, so that's how I remember it.
I needed a few more promos from Pac leading into this Okada match.
Yeah. Oh, he cut a great one on Saturday. Like, really, really good promo on Saturday.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. No, it was great. It really was.
I'm watching the A show. I don't have time on Saturday sometimes.
You heard the reaction Thunder Rosa got tonight when she came out? You know why? She cut a great promo on Saturday, and those people in that building probably watched that show. She cut the promo for freaking life on Saturday.
I saw that. Yeah, that was really good.
It was really good. And so, yeah, we are seeing some good promos. We're just not always on this show. Austin Prock was at ringside. He's an IndyCar driver, and they were in Indianapolis, so that makes sense. And actually, not just a IndyCar driver. I think they said he was the points leader. So I've never heard of him.
I thought it was a drag racer, not an IndyCar driver.
No, IndyCar.
Formula. Okay.
No, I'm almost positive it was an IndyCar.
All right.
Although I've never heard of the guy, so although I probably haven't watched IndyCar in a few years. I have
not watched IndyCar in a few years. I used to be a big fan.
Me too. Yeah, all of us. Jack Villeneuve, Paul Tracy. All right. Tracy. Jericho was in the ring with Taz, and then out comes Hook, and this was the segment. So you sent me something, or you sent our little group chat something. This whole Jericho Hook thing that we've been so confused about for weeks is a frustrated veteran dealing with a young guy who doesn't want to listen to him, which sounds very familiar. So as I'm watching this, I'm in my mind pretending that Jericho is CM Punk and Hook is Jack Perry. And then I'm not exactly sure who Taz is supposed to be. Maybe FTR. I don't know.
Tony Khan.
Oh, Tony Khan. There you go. Yeah. He was afraid for his life. So Jericho says, Taz, we've known each other for 30 years, and I want to thank you for bringing him out here. And he says, I want to clarify a few things. Last week, I pulled you off the apron to get your attention. Shibata, he was just collateral damage. You weren't listening to me. I want to help you. I'm doing this all for you. Some say I'm the greatest of all time, and the announcers are just burying him for this. Others talk about the learning tree. Well, I am the learning tree. Think about everyone who has listened to me and got to the next level. MJF, Orange Cassidy, Eddie Kingston, Jon Moxley, Will Ospreay. This dude. He's like everyone in the Jericho. You know who he didn't mention? Anybody in the Pinnacle, anybody in the Inner Circle.
Action Andretti.
Yeah. Everyone in the Jericho Vortex has come out the other side, a better performer, a better wrestler, and a better person, mind you. I want us to scale the highest of heights together, the top of Wizard Mountain, breathe in the rarefied air of Jericho. They keep focusing on Hook, and he's just like, he's not buying a word of this shit. And he says, are you what?
Which is great. I like.
Oh yeah, no, it was great. He was great. Jericho was. Are you ready to sit under the brilliant branches of the learning tree? After all this, and that might have been 5 minutes straight of Jericho talking. Hook just says no. I was just popped. I was like, that was perfect. And then he's like, come on, dude. What are you talking about? And then Hook says, I don't need your help. And then Jericho says, dude, don't be stupid. And then Taz tries to interrupt him, and Jericho turns over and he says, just stop. He says, I'm just doing what you should have done 30 years ago and given this kid proper guidance. And one of the announcers under his breath said, he's not 30. And Hook doing Adam Page. Yeah, I said Jack Perry. It's totally Adam Page. I don't know why I said Jack Perry. It's absolutely Adam Page, and Jericho's Phil Brooks. Yeah. So then he says, you should have given him proper guidance 30 years ago. This is what I'm talking about. I need to help you get rid of all this dead weight that's been surrounding you your whole life. Taz again tries to calm him down. Jericho tells him to stop. And he says, Hook, I know you've had people telling you how good you are and a future world champion. You're just not ready. You're not as good as you think you are. Taz interrupts him again, and Jericho shoved him. And Hook, now he's finally starting to show some emotion. He steps up to him. Crowd's chanting, you fucked up. Excalibur points out that Taz is dealing with knee issues. And he says, Jericho, you crossed the line. You want to see how good I am? I'll show you again. Anytime, any place, anywhere. Now get out of my ring. And Jericho is just not wanting to leave, but he's scared. And Hook has just got this mean face on him. Crowd is chanting, Hook is going to kill you. Crowd sings a Na 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 Hey song as Jericho just backs off and leaves. There was something missing at the end of this, and I'm not sure what it was.
I'll tell you what it was.
Okay.
Hook should have been throwing blows at Jericho the moment he pushed his father.
That's what it was. Yeah, someone else told me that too, and I wasn't sure, but yeah, that's it. Yeah. But other than that,
if my father were still with us and you touch any member of my family, I'm going after your ass.
I thought Hook was gonna grab him and put him in the transmission.
Yeah, he grabbed him and challenged him to him. No, he just shoved your dad. Beat on that man. That's
he barely what I wanted. Touched him, but
yeah, there's a certain subtext going into the thing also where Punk went into the WWE locker room and kind of called himself the locker room leader. Yeah. I think Jericho was in the locker room at the time. He just kind of rolled his eyes. I think there's a lot of that going on in this too. If you want to really read that hard into it.
Unlike last week, they're actually building a match that's going to happen.
Yes.
So I liked it better here. If you want to do stuff and get this shit out of your system and actually pay it off in a match, go for it.
No, but I would have had at least have him hit a shot and Jericho bails and then Hook cuts the promo on him.
Yeah, you could have done that. Yeah, absolutely. Or Hook just chokes him out again.
Because it's the wrong response to just grab a guy and challenge him to a match if he shoves your father who's having knee issues. You need to step in there and swing at him.
It is good that Hook has already beaten him once and Jericho knows it. So I do like that aspect of it as well. That Jericho knows he probably can't beat this guy. And now he's motivated. So it might be even worse for him this time than it was last time. But actually it probably won't be. It'll probably be Jericho that takes 90% of the match.
I think Jericho's bringing in somebody to help him probably.
That could be. Maybe Christian.
Jake Hager.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Matt Menard. I don't know. No, not Matt Menard. Why did
it'll be Hager, and they'll do an MMA match with Hook and Hager probably or something.
Yeah, and Hook will choke him out. That'd be kind of cool, actually. Then we got Renee with Swerve. I think they were in a different warehouse. And crowd was chanting Swerve's house at the beginning of this, so I couldn't quite hear what Renee was asking. But she asked him for his reaction to being called a choke artist. He says, I don't think I am. He talked about me stumbling on my title opportunities. He's not wrong. I've been stumbling my whole career, but I stumble forward my whole career. I've been thrown just in the last 6 months. I've been thrown in a coffin. I was stapled. I got back up. A few weeks ago, I got bloodied with a chain and I got back up. And it's all because of my military upbringing. Call me what you want, the punching bag, the choke artist. This Sunday at Dynasty, you'll be calling me the new AEW World Champion. And Renee asked what makes him so confident. And he says, Renee, with all due respect, this isn't something I should be answering to you. And then he looks right in the camera and he says, I should be answering to Samoa Joe. So, Joe, I'm going to tell you to your face in that ring tonight. So here is where they also told us that it was going to be later on tonight. So, and then they brought it up in the main event again. So I thought this was good. Although he didn't deny that he was a choke artist, even though he said he wasn't, but then he described that he was. So I'm like, okay. But other than that, I thought it was good. Did you like it?
Mostly, yeah. It's still one of those things where it's babyface Swerve and badass snarling Swerve. Sorry, I got a bit of emergency text there.
Oh.
They coexist, but they coexist unevenly at times. But I like the promo overall.
Matt brought up that Swerve has lost momentum and it's due to his promos, but with that said, he thought he finally took it home and brought the fire tonight. More so in the main event.
No, he's lost momentum because of the way they presented the character, because they changed it to a babyface midstream without it really him becoming a babyface, and so it's like people want to chant whose house, Swerve's house, but they also want the same Swerve that they had in the Nick Wayne feud and the original Hangman match. And I think those two things aren't that doesn't click with anything rational.
And I actually think a bigger part of it is not even his fault, and it's Joe. Joe is so good, and fans can't help but be behind him, and he's an ass kicker that says what he's going to do and then does it. And that's
but see, it gets to my point also. If Swerve is cutting heel promos on Joe, and Joe's a bigger heel, then Swerve is a natural babyface in the feud, but he doesn't have to be a babyface. What he's doing here is pandering to the audience at times instead of going after him. And if they were just the two baddest dogs in the yard going at each other, we would be far more hyped for this match. But instead, we're getting the guy who's looking for whose house, Swerve's house chants. You know, at the same time, he goes, and I hit you with a chain, you know, that kind of thing. It's like, okay. It's inconsistency is what's causing the heat to go down.
It's hard to be a babyface when you got over as a heel.
Yes, and it's hard to be a heel who's getting cheers because you want to be the cool heel all of a sudden.
Mercedes has always had that issue too.
MJF, they pulled the trigger on that babyface.
But MJF was better. I mean, MJF figured out a way to do it so where he got the fans would cheer when they wanted to, but he got heat when he needed to.
Right.
That's hard to do. John brings up a good point, and he says, "Are we supposed to forget that Swerve is a former tag champ who defended those belts multiple times?" I don't know if we're supposed to, but I did. And I guess as a singles he hasn't won, but he has won gold in AEW. And then John, our friend Jason brings up as well, if we're supposed to forget, they did a good job because he just remembered it, just like me.
Hey, I saw Keith Lee WrestleMania weekend. He accidentally walked across while Mia was on the red carpet.
No, this was in a backstage. Yeah, it was in a backstage interview with somebody. Mia was nowhere around. Yeah, because she was.
No, but it was because she was around. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next, we got Mariah May and Deonna Purrazzo. And Mariah comes out to Tony's old music, and then I got upset because it got interrupted by Tony's new music. The crowd was dead for this. Mariah used distraction from Tony to take over right before the break. To come back, the fans were like behind Mariah, but then when they did the yay boo spot, they were cheering for like Deonna. It was kind of weird. And Deonna kept trying to go for her finisher. At one point, Tony, like when Mariah May made the ropes, Tony says Nana found the rope. Did you hear that? And then Excalibur corrects him and says, "Yeah, Mariah May found the rope." And then Tony correct, "Oh yeah, Mariah May." It's like, what did he like? Did he think it was Prince and Nana? Like, I don't know what the hell was going on there. But anyways, they did a spot where they May headbutted her. They both collapsed in corners. And then May did the hip attack, Tony's hip attack. And then she hit a DDT that Excalibur said was off the ropes, but I don't actually think she went off the ropes for it. That only got a 2. Then when Deonna was setting up for a pin or something, they cut to camera, like right in the middle of a move to Tony, and they had to go to black and white while they were doing it. Mm-hmm. And then they just did these rolling cradle spots, and it looked like they were going to do like the long sequence, but they did 2, and Deonna just pinned her on the second one. It was very awkward, the last minute or 2 of this, but it was fun. Nobody cares about Deonna, and everybody loves Mariah, and it was very weird.
Deonna got the first pop when she debuted, and that's it.
Yeah, she's better as a heel, so yes. I think we're heading there, and maybe
we are.
Get there. Yeah. After the match, and this was a common theme tonight, because the babyface won and then immediately gets attacked. And then Thunder Rosa made the save, laid out Luther on the way, cleared the ring, and And I wrote down, even though the two don't get along because they've been arguing in promos every week and on every show, and fans are chanting for Thunder Rosa, but then Deonna and her start arguing. Mariah May pulled Deonna out of the ring. They started brawling. Tony attacked Thunder, but then she got laid out, and Rosa rubbed makeup all over her face, which she was very upset about. Even though in the last angle, when she was wrestling Deonna, she rubbed makeup all over her own face. You remember that?
Yes.
And I don't know, this time she didn't like it, but I think it was because in an angle they did, I can't even keep all these shows. I think
last Wednesday she tried to wipe off the makeup that
right. So now she's doing the reverse of it, and she's
Paul, if I'm ever getting beat on 2-on-1, I'm not going to shove you away and say I could have handled it myself.
Yeah. And if you did, I probably wouldn't like you very much.
No, I'd belt Thunder Rosa. I don't think Tony needs this title. I don't think the Tony Mariah May feud is ready yet. And I think that gives her the chance to go after Deonna for a match, and then whoever's next. I just, to me, I mean, I think the promo and the reaction here might sway some people, but I don't know. I mean, I think Thunder Rosa needs the title more than Toni Storm.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. Although, like, I do think that probably the long-term plan was Tony and Mariah. I don't know how long we keep this going, but I wouldn't be opposed to having Thunder Rosa win the title.
Mariah's not at that level. I'm sorry, she's not. And I know she's
good in the ring.
She was good in start. Well, she's good in the ring.
Yeah,
she's not a main event women's match good in the ring.
They also brought up the stuff that was going on last week with Mina Shirakawa and
yes,
lovingly caressing and all that. I guess there is some sort of a lesbian angle going on there, but like I don't have an issue with it. It was just came out of nowhere and I was surprised by it. But it's fine if they want to do that. They kind of did a little bit of it on the weekend too. Renee was there.
They were kind of hinting at Hannah Jay possibly going to Stardom, and I'm all for that too.
Yeah. No, she was. Yeah, because she was teaming with.
I've been calling for that for 3 years on the various shows. So okay, cool.
On Rampage, this was so baffling. On Rampage, I think it was Lexi Nair was interviewing Anna Jay, and in walks a Japanese woman who we've never seen before, and it's Azumi.
Yeah,
and they don't put a graphic up. They don't, and she just starts talking, and then I think Lexi said, "Oh, Azumi, what are you doing here?" And then they announced the match the next night, Azumi and Toni Storm, and it's like
Jonathan Winters.
Yeah,
it's so the Scooby-Doo new Scooby-Doo mysteries where the gang goes into a town and they run into a celebrity randomly. Yeah. Azumi, what are you doing here?
Except it's a celebrity.
Jerry Reed. Tim Conway.
That was it. That's the coaching she probably got from Dallas.
Yes. Do it like a 50-year-old cartoon. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, she probably watches Scooby-Doo. We go backstage with Renee Paquette, and she's with Jay White and the Guns. And Jay White asks her, "Who are you here with?" And she says, "The Bang Bang Gang." And he's like, No, say it like you mean it. And then Austin's like, "The Bang Bang Gang." And yeah, like that. So this is your favorite time of the week. And we've been having a blast. We've been doing scissoring. We're making new friends, new fans. Guys got to hang out with their old man. Now they're hanging out with Papa Blade. And this Sunday, it's about gold. We got the ROH 6-man titles. You guys have the AEW Trios Championship. And he challenges them to a winner take all. And I was like, thank the Lord in heaven above that this thing's finally going to be over. And we're going to have new unified champions. I don't know which team. I don't care as long as one of them goes away. I don't even care which. Like, these two need to be as far apart from each other as possible.
This has been ratings death.
I don't care about ratings. It's TV death.
No, that's what I meant mostly.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then after commercial, we got a response from the Acclaimed.
I meant Daddy box office poison, but there you go.
There you go.
Trying to think of a Norm Macdonald term. Go ahead.
The Acclaimed and Daddy Ass after the break.
Oh, I have things to say about this. So yes.
Well, he admitted to beating his kids.
Well, yes. He admits to beating his kids. Max brings back Twink Blade again.
Oh,
after already getting heat.
Not only did he bring back Twink Blade, it was right after the other partner, Bowen, said he's got a big golden bat of my own, and I'm going to make you choke on it.
So. Yeah, he does Twink Blade, and then at the end of this promo, Max slams down his title.
Yeah. So he's basically, is he telling us that he's getting punished for saying Twink Blade? So I'm going to say it again. If you're going to take my title again, I might as well make it worth it.
Yes, that could be having a temper tantrum on T. I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah, reported by Jeff Hawkins, everybody.
No, if I see Bowens in the gym tomorrow, I'll ask. I won't ask.
Yeah. This was.
I did run into Joey Ryan though. That was kind of awkward because he knows.
The short answer of all this promo is that they accepted the challenge, and then Tony Schiavone tells us that Tony Khan signed the match. So there we go.
2 minutes and out, please. That's all I want.
Last week, Orange Cassidy got turned on. I think it was last week, maybe it was 2 weeks ago. He got turned on by Trent Beretta, and then apparently Chuck Taylor is part of that breakup because he's no longer here. But instead, we got a match with his brother, Shane Taylor, against Orange Cassidy. Sorry, bad setup to a terrible joke.
Continue, please.
So it was Shane Taylor and Orange Cassidy, and basically Shane Taylor just beat his ass for most of the match. And then the Shane Taylor Promotions people just kept getting involved, and eventually Orange Cassidy fought them off, took them all out by himself, and then he goes to do the Superman punch, hits Shane Taylor with one, and then he went for the pin, but Shane kicked out, and then what did he do here? Sorry, so Taylor wouldn't go down after the Superman punch. And then he went for another one. Taylor countered it. And then he went for another one and hit it and got the pin. It was like, okay. So he just kicked the ass of three guys all by himself. New
Geek Stable has arrived, by the way.
Yeah, the new Geek Stable that got a win last week.
Not just that. Lee Moriarty gets the biggest win of his career on last week's Dynamite. 3 days later.
Yeah, he loses.
Shibata gets his win back. And then just 50-50 booking. Okay.
What you think you saw, you did not see.
No, of course not.
They announced during this match that the Elite is going to wrestle Pac and FTR on Collision. And I'm like, why didn't they do that tonight? Like, that would have been so good. I'm really at this point assuming FTR was supposed to be there and couldn't make it. Like, I don't know. So immediately after the bell in this match, the babyface wins and gets attacked by Anthony Ogogo and Lee Moriarty. They laid him out. They posed over him. They beat on him some more. And, of course, the story of this match is Orange Cassidy has no friends. So Christopher Daniels wanders out and Matt Sydal as well. But Trent showed up from behind them, laid them out with chairs. And then where are all the babyfaces that congratulated? Remember when somebody won a belt and they all came in and congratulated? Oh no, never mind. That was WWE. The Sting, I really wasn't trying to make a WWE joke there. I just remembered that happening recently. But Sting, right? Didn't they a bunch of babyfaces come out and congratulate Sting? Yeah. Yes. Where are all these guys? Like,
they only come out for main event players.
Oh, okay. I thought Orange Cassidy was main. Anyways, never mind that. This got great heat. Crowds chanting, "Fuck you, Trent." He basically he laid out Chris Daniels and Matt Sydal, and then he just kind of put his arms out and he says, "Hey, you go have at it." I think the Shane Taylor guys thought, "Oh, he might be coming after us next."
Yes.
And he's like, "Nope, he's yours." And so they beat him up some more and they laid him out with a chair. Moriarty put him in the Border City stretch. Trent walked away and they draped their flag over Orange Cassidy. So we're probably going to get Orange Cassidy and Lee Moriarty next. It would be my guess. Although
that'd be my guess as well.
Yeah.
Leading up to eventually a Go-Go in Orange Cassidy, the battle of the punches.
Yeah, and then if the long play is Orange Cassidy and Trent, obviously.
Yes.
And maybe Orange will get a buddy and they can wrestle probably Danhausen, I would think.
I don't know if Danhausen's ever going to be on AEW television again.
Yeah, I don't know. He's got to find a friend though. Speaking of friends turning on each other, you didn't see Collision, so you missed Kyle O'Reilly finally got turned on by.
I heard about it though. Yeah.
So what happened was Roderick Strong beat Rocky Romero in a title eliminator match, and then after the match, the Kingdom is attacking Rocky, and Kyle O'Reilly comes in and tries to pull them off, and then Roddy just decks him from behind and lays him out. And that leads to a match at the pay-per-view where so Rocky couldn't get a title shot, but Kyle O'Reilly is getting a title shot. And they showed a video package here, and he says, Kyle, your comeback was sweet, but there's something you didn't realize. When we step in the ring, I'm going to break you and end you forever. And here's where they announced that they're having a match at that'll be a good match, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong.
Yeah, it's not like we never saw that in NXT, or any other
Ring
various
of Honor,
indies, or PWG, or
TNA.
Yeah. It does kind of beg a question though, because there was a bit of an update on Adam Cole either today or yesterday that things are taking a little bit longer than originally thought. So is the Undisputed Kingdom just in a kind of a holding period here?
Well, Wardlow is interfering a lot and helping these guys win matches, but we never see it. It's on all the shows we don't watch.
Okay.
Yeah. So that, but yeah, remember we were seeing those promos with Adam Cole on a throne, and we haven't seen them in a while.
You know what? If it's gonna take longer, I would have Roddy Strong fire Adam Cole and take control of the Undisputed Kingdom.
Maybe if Cole can't wrestle, they could,
and then Cole can come back as a babyface.
They could, or they could make him a manager.
Yeah,
Keith Lee could probably use a manager.
Son of a baby. You got me there. No, it's again, we have too much product to concentrate on, so it's like, I guess I'd know about this if I had watched Collision.
It is hard, and you know what? I'd have forgotten about it if I didn't watch it today.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing, right?
I'd like to watch other things other than
there is a lot going on.
Tony,
I am watching other TV too. I just started watching a show called The Undoing. You see that? It was on HBO. Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant. It's really good.
Don't care.
Yeah, nobody does. All right. Next up is the main event already. So they used to do 6, sometimes 7 matches on Dynamite, and lately it's been like 5. And I actually kind of like it better with 5. We got Will Ospreay's entrance playing into the commercial, so that was really cool. And his entrance is over, and he's like slapping hands with fans, and it was great. Although I will say, we got a promo, and you didn't see this. Don Callis on Rampage cut this promo because remember they booked a match for Collision, and it was Hobbs and Fletcher against Danielson and Claudio. So Callis basically says, I don't even care if you guys win. Your job is to hurt Danielson leading into the match with Will Ospreay. I want you to take Danielson out. I want him hurt. I don't want him being at 100% because Ospreay's our golden goose and we have to protect him. So we spent 2 months of Will Ospreay fighting members of the Don Callis family with no tease of dissension. And the payoff to that is now they are going to beat up his opponents to set up him. I have no idea why they did those matches. The best reaction I could get, I asked this question on Twitter today, and I was told iron sharpens iron. That's the explanation for that.
Yes, no, I know this has been driving me nuts for the last 3 weeks, Paul. I've been talking about this.
Yeah,
and you know what's weird? Going into this match, the tone was entirely wrong because, again, BCC in there, are they heels or are they not? Or are they just shades of gray? The point of Claudio in this match should have been to beat up Will Ospreay enough and really beat on him to weaken him for Bryan Danielson. And instead, what we got was a Will Ospreay and we had 3.75 and 4-star match. I mean, it was good, but it was still one of those things where tonally it didn't make any sense.
Not only that, but you had Don Callis on commentary, and he spent the whole match putting over Claudio.
Yes.
And even at one point, I think it was Taz said, didn't he like put a hole in your head or something? And he's like, yeah, he did that. But yeah, it was very
he
weird.
Says I'd like to recruit Claudio on TV, and it's like, okay, is that the story? Is that what we're going with?
Well, I'm wondering, like, and that wouldn't be a terrible story. Like, Claudio would probably fit in really well with the
Claudio would fit
Callis
in
family.
very well with these big giant guys that they're not really doing anything with, and they never cut promos. It's great. Although I like the Hobbs Fletcher promo on the bleachers.
Yes,
they did
that was good.
For that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even write that down. Anything about that, but yeah, that did happen. Claudio Callis called him a great athlete and deceptively gigantic. I love that speech. Tony Schiavone said the family failed in its mission to soften Danielson up. Tony Schiavone called Callis a dictator. That's how he said it. That was pretty cool. He says it's a utopian society, but then Excalibur said, well, one citizen is more important than all the others. And I thought he was talking about Callis, but he was actually talking about Will. And the match itself was really great. And this is where Claudio, I wrote down, seemed to be recruiting Claudio. He brought up, we've got people from Japan, New Zealand, the US, the UK, Canada. We could add somebody from Switzerland. And it's like, yeah, like I'm really starting to get into this idea.
World Elite is back in AEW this time.
There you go. Yeah. And the match was the match. It was a Claudio match, and it was a Will Ospreay match. And, like Will, he's starting to get this American TV style down pretty well. Working his big match Japan style in with, the fact that you have to do commercials and you have to do long heat segments and all that. So, after the commercials when it really picked up, and they did a bunch of stuff. And the stuff what led into the finish was awesome. Claudio was motioning for the whatchamacallit,
spin.
The big spin, yeah. The crowd really wanted to see it. So he where is it here? Oh yeah, so he does the swing, and then Will countered it right before he even got one swing in with a DDT. Then he hits this freaking wild move off the top. Excalibur said the name. It was an avalanche something or other. And then he hit the hidden blade for the win. That was really cool. But there was a lot of cool counters and Claudio catching him on these diving moves. And, these two work great together. I would love to see these guys do like a 30-minute pay-per-view match. It would probably be like a match of the year. But in this, it was like a TV match of the year almost. But yeah, it was a really good match, I thought.
it was good. My opinion's colored by the fact that I've been watching classic wrestling this week.
Okay.
And it's more slow and plotting, but every move matters. And when you get punched with a fist, you're selling it like you've been punched with a fist, as opposed to like there was a sequence in this where Will's doing the soccer kicks to the face, and then all of a sudden Claudio just keeps going with the uppercuts as if the kicks to the face didn't even affect him, and you're just like,
it kind of takes you out of it. Yeah,
it takes me out of it a little bit. I get that other people like, this is the indie style. It's so great, right? Okay, great. Thank you, Dave.
If it works, it works.
It works for some people. But it was one of those things where it's so funny because Tony says it on the TV. It's like, he has a pay-per-view match in on Sunday, and he's going balls to the wall here. And
not only that, they booked a huge match for Saturday for a lot of these guys. And
I'm like, yeah, you might want to protect him so that you can have that match on Sunday, please.
Yeah.
And it's just, it baffled me, but it was a good match, though. I mean, but you know what? It also didn't get over the point in the post match that they should have. They got over on commentary, but not in terms of the actions of people, because Will wasn't really fighting those guys to get away from him.
No, so it's weird. So after the match, Will starts to leave, and then the Callis family attack Claudio. So again, we had the heels doing a multi-man attack. I think we saw this 4 times on this show. It was at least 3. It might have been 4.
Yeah. No, you're
right. Callis says, oh, I didn't tell them to do this. They're doing it on their own. And so they're beating on Claudio. And then all of a sudden, Moxley's music made the save because they stopped beating as soon as they heard that music.
Now, hold on there for a moment.
Yes.
If Will is breaking up with the Callis family,
yeah,
you don't need to be coy about it. You could have just had Callis said, "That's right, I ordered the code red."
Yeah. Instead, you're leaving it open. Yeah. And you did have Ospreay mad. They didn't really highlight it, but you could see he was mad and he walked out on his guys.
Yeah, he wasn't high-fiving them, but he was just kind of like,
no, he was upset. He was like, they did at one point they did a thing and he was like, "What are you guys doing?" He was really upset.
Yeah, so but that was on their way to the back though, not while they were in the ring, and that was the problem. Is it
when they were in the ring doing the attack, he was just standing there.
Yeah,
like he wasn't, and you almost thought he was going to help make the save.
Yeah,
and he didn't. It's like, so I think he's conflicted. I think he's like he doesn't want to make the save because he's friends with these guys, but he also doesn't like what they're doing. So sometimes your friends do bad things.
Show me that story.
You need to be a good actor to do that. So Moxley's music made the save. Will was separated from them, so eventually it became 1-on-3. Moxley against the Callis family, and he was too much for them, so they all got taken out. Claudio came to. He starts brawling with Takeshita outside the ring. Hobbs backed off, and him and Moxley had a stare down. And Hobbs said, "Next week." And that's where I wrote down that Ospreay was mad, and he walked away from the family. So it's not an official breakup, but he's definitely not happy with them.
Yeah, it's the seeds of dissent that they're doing.
So then we got a bunch of graphics because they were getting the ring cleared for the main event segment. And they said on Dynamite next week, Moxley versus Will Hobbs. That's all that's announced, but it's after a pay-per-view, so we'll get some more stuff later. Collision, the Elite against Pac and FTR. There's going to be a bunkhouse brawl between Danielson and Claudio against Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita. So Danielson in a bunkhouse brawl less than 24 hours before he has a pay-per-view match with Will Ospreay.
With it's Takeshita and Fletcher?
Yeah.
So two guys who don't ordinarily do bunkhouse brawls too.
Correct. They've done matches like bunkhouse brawls.
They've done matches like them, but I mean, we're talking hitting guys with trash cans and chairs and canes and things of this nature. I'm hoping again, knee pads over jeans and cut off muscle t-shirts with weight belts. I'll be good with that. But that's my own thing. But boy, Danielson's putting a lot of his safety into a couple of guys' hands, isn't he?
Danielson's gonna bleed. There's almost no chance.
Danielson's gonna be taking blows to the head.
Yes. Dynasty lineup. So here's your lineup: Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson, the Bucks and FTR ladder match for the tag team titles. Okada defending the whatever title he won from Eddie Kingston against Pac. I literally have no idea which title it is. International? I don't know.
International title.
Are we sure?
Well, it used to be called, what is it? The
isn't it the Continental title?
It might be. It's something like that. I don't
think it is.
It's whatever they originally wanted the travel belt to be, and it no longer became a travel.
Because the international title is Roddy, right?
I thought Roddy was.
Roddy's. They have too many freaking titles in AEW. Yeah.
I think he's the Brass Knuckles champion.
House of Black against
Western States Heritage champion. I don't know.
Do you realize we have the House of Black against Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe in a trios match on this pay-per-view, but it's not for the trios title, and the match for the trios title is actually the Bang Bang Gang against the Acclaimed Daddy Ass.
Yes.
That's a disconnect. Talk about best in the world, yeah. We got those two matches. Julia Hart defending the TBS title against Willow. Roderick Strong against Kyle O'Reilly for the international title. Hook against Chris Jericho for the FTW title. There's like 9 matches on this show, and they're all for titles. Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa for the women's world title.
Well, there's nothing wrong with lots of titles as long as you build the titles. That's,
And I will say these matches have all been built really well. Over the last month and a half.
Some of them.
I think. I mean, some better than others, but I mean, they all have stories going into them. Like, it may not be good stories, but Samoa Joe and Swerve for the world title is the main event, as you said. So I wonder if they're going to kick off the show with Ospreay Danielson. That'd be hard to follow. I think they should just make it the co-main. And
no, I think they're going to kick it off with Roddy and Kyle.
Ugh. No, you know what? They're going to kick it off with House of Black against Kingston, Copeland, and Briscoe.
That sounds good too. Yeah.
All right. And then we got our main event segment. Swerve is out with a mic. And he says, this Sunday, it's Swerve versus Samoa Joe for the AEW World Championship. With that being said, I was asked a question earlier. How am I going to beat Samoa Joe? That's actually not the question you were asked. But he said, that answer is simple. As of last week, as you were scurrying around like a little bitch, you had the fear in your eyes. I was standing there with your championship above my head. You showed me everything I needed to see. You were scared. you hear the fact, I'm going to beat you for that AEW World Championship. I'm waiting for you to come out so I can say it to your face like a man. So bring that sweet tooth ass out here so I can tell you like a man. So out comes Joe. He's being held back by security, and he starts making his way down the ramp, and they're trying to hold him back, and he's walking, and they're walking. So Swerve says, we don't need security. And he goes up to the top rope, and he did just the greatest Swerve stomp. He took out like 8 security guards with one jump and landed on his feet. This was really good. And the fans chanted, holy shit. And he gets in Joe's face and he says, I'm taking this from you. They start brawling. And then, of course, as always happens in their brawls, Joe took over very quickly. He threw him into the steps. He rolled him into the ring. He grabbed his belt. Nana had his back to him, and Joe starts mocking Nana, and he's about to hit him. And then Swerve boots his head off, gives him a house call. Was about to do the Swerve stomp, but Joe recovers and he knocked him off the top, gave him a muscle buster in the center of the ring. And Tony Schiavone pointed out that Swerve brought this all on himself, and Joe posed with the belt to close the show. So WWE booking would tell you that Swerve's winning the title after this, but I'm not sure.
If this show had been 2 hours and this had ended the show, I would have been a very happy man. Okay. I really would have. It was just one of those.
Just 6 minutes killed you.
Well, it's not that. It's just after the 2 hours, look at the two. It's like they're closing on the Will Ospreay, Jon Moxley stuff, and then all of a sudden the overrun happens. It's like, okay, that's great. You can fit all this in 2 hours. You don't need. But I thought this was quite good. I mean, that Swerve spot. You're right. It was tremendous.
Matt told me on Twitter that this is his favorite go home show for an AEW pay-per-view, while fully acknowledging that their go-home shows usually suck.
Yes, I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Okay, John's clearing it up here. Pac's walkie title is the one Roddy has. Okada has the Continental he won from Eddie, who now only holds the NJPW. My head's already hurting. It's like
we need a flow chart.
Yeah. So Mark has the ROH title. Eddie's got the Strong title, and I already forgot. Okada has the Continental Crown, and Moxley's the IWGP World Belt. You've got a belt. You've got a belt. Everybody's got a belt. Yeah. So there we go.
And we even have titles that are made up, like the FTW title.
Yeah, and it's defended almost all the time. So it's it's better to have a made-up title than a real one in some cases. You don't want to have an ROH title if you're wrestling on AEW television. That's the one thing we've made pretty clear.
Yeah. The NWA in the early 80s is going, that's a lot of titles.
Yeah. WWE right after the Alliance thing. Remember? They actually made a joke out of it on their TV. And then they just started having Triple H win them all. Like they did all these unification matches, speaking of which, next week
D'Lo Brown was my favorite Eurocontinental champion. I don't care what anybody says.
Saturday is 420, so Tony Schiavone is very excited about 420, and keeps bringing up that Rob Van Dam's wrestling on the show.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
Also, Pineapple Express Shake at Jack in the Box. I highly recommend it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's good. Hey, pineapple.
Strong versus O'Reilly is for ROH sickos like me. That match is going to over deliver hard, I guarantee. Hey, I'm the ROH historian, and I agree. Because he said, I think it was Matt that I saw really, really liked the Roderick Strong Rocky Romero match from Saturday. So that was a good match, really good match. I was actually I saw his comment before I saw the match, so I was almost expecting more. That's me. That's not them. I was expecting like an epic, and it was just like a really, really good TV match. So getting the pay-per-view on Sunday?
Game time decision. Also depends on if I'm in Phoenix or not.
I made a declaration that if they repeated the nonsense about going after WWE that they did last week, again this week, that I would not buy it. And they didn't do that, so I will buy it.
Okay.
But I also told Lance Storm I'm going to buy the TNA show, so I got a busy weekend. And then you got a 3-hour Collision on Saturday, and it's because they're moving Rampage this week. So for those diehards that like to watch everything, Rampage is on Saturday this week, and I think next week they're doing a 3-hour, and I saw one in they're advertising for June. I think they're really moving towards that 3 hour. I think if they get a new TV deal, we're getting a 3 hour show on either Saturday or Wednesday, one of the two. So, Jeffy, we're almost out of time. Got some plugs?
Yeah. Oh,
I was going to say, before you do your plugs, Kevin Ely will be back with the Boom on Sunday after Dynasty. One or both of us may or may not be on the show. Okay.
Oh, really?
I do your plug. Okay. Well, I don't know. He didn't ask, but if he does, we will.
Hi, Kevin. We've invited ourselves to your show.
He needs a co-host, unless he digs James out. He's active. I've seen him on social media. So
I do too. But yeah. I'm at Crap Game 13. Just trying to hold down the fort there. Arcane references, bad jokes, snark. You know the deal. I also do a show on Voices of Wrestling called Shake Them Ropes. I should have my audio issues settled by then. This week, Chris Novembrino and I will be talking about. I think we're going to be doing quite a bit talking about old Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable. That was a great little match. And any news and notes from both WWE and AEW that may come down the pike later this week, including is Ruby Riott actually pregnant?
The 5 minutes before the Sammy Gunther match or Sammy Gable match were pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And the match itself was great too. Yeah, Paul booking other people's shows. Yeah, so I'll be maybe not on with Kevin Ely on the weekend. And then I'm supposed to be doing a show, my Joy of Wrestling show, which is 3 episodes in now. 4th episode's supposed to be Garrett Gonzalez, so we'll see if
it's quite good, guys. I recommend it.
Oh, wow, that's great coming from you. It's a lot of fun. We're talking about a lot of different eras and times and shows, and in 3 shows we've done UWF, modern WWE, and Noah from Europe in the aughts. So yeah, a little bit of everything. So check it out Monday at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. So and that's it, I think. So for Jeff, I've been Paul, and this has been Parker Klein request. The Dynamite Show. Later.
Really? I get upstaged by